Okay, how you doing today? Before I start with this video, I'd like to ask you to please press the subscription button, the like button, and the notification bell. It'll help my channel, and it'll also help you to get notified whenever a new video comes out if you like this kind of content. Okay. This particular video is about the Maravilla Gang Module, or La Tira de Maravilla. Okay, as we call it. We were located where all the gang modules are. The Sureno Gang Module was off to our right, and then we had the Bloods, the Crips, Nazi lowriders, and the Asians. They were the surrounding gang modules. Okay. Most of the cells were 6-man cells, and I've been in both modules. I've been in the Sureno module, and I've been in the Maravilla module, and the Maravilla module, we had some like bomb ass portraits, collages in the back of our cells. You know that these paintings and these drawings that you see here and there, with hyenas and skulls and different, cultural drawings. Well, we had those in the back of our cells, all the way down our tira. It was hooked up. It looked female. It was bad. There's some badass drawings. We had some good ass artists from Maravilla, and they hooked up the back of our cells, and it was just a nice looking environment, man. It was gangster. You know what I'm saying? I was in the Sureno module. There was no drawings, no writing on the walls or nothing. And this wasn't actually writing. This was, look, every barrio had their cell. Arizona Maravilla had their cell. Fort Maravilla had their cell. Mariana had their cell. All the different barrios de Maravilla had their cells, okay? And they had them hooked up the way they liked it hooked up. Someone would blast their barrio in the back of the cells with charras and Pancho Villa, little M&Ms throwing the M's. Just different shit. It looked female. Anyways, I just want to give you a visual of this module. The Juras treated us with respect. They didn't disrespect us. If they did, we gave them a rash of shit. You know, we went at it with them several times on the tira. You knew when they were coming because you could hear the chains. They'd be carrying all these chains to chain us up, and you could hear them coming down the halls. And right away, the homies knew. Check the water. You go flush the toilet or turn on the sink. If there was no water, they were coming. They were on their way. So we let everybody know right away. Whoever discovered that the water was off, we let everybody know. Send an alarm. Ahí viene la chota. They're coming. Sometimes they come to mess with us, and we didn't feel that it was warranted, so we'd retaliate. We'd flood the cells. If they're gonna come in, they're gonna come in. With slipping and sliding with shampooed floors. We shoot shampoo out in the tier, and then we'd flood our cells, and it would make it slippery out there. They'd come in and they'd be blasting us with their gas guns. They have these little round balls that shoot out of these like paint guns. But not all of them would explode. So we'd collect them. We'd scoop them up, and so we'd have our little clavo of paintballs. Filled with gas, and when they'd come in, we'd shoot them right back at them. You know what I mean? It was crazy. We'd gas them, with what gassing is. If you haven't heard in any of the channels, what gassing is they fill up bottles with urine and feces and let it fester, and when they come through, we'd bomb them with that. When it was war against the establishment, against the sheriffs, that's the way it went. Anyways, as far as the Maravillas getting along with one another, we had a lot of issues on the tira. Just like every society, every group of men, there's different opinions, different different feelings about how things should be. We had disagreements. Sometimes things would happen in the street, and it would come into the tier. Even though we had a peace treaty, that within the Maravilla Tira and the Maravilla Gang Module, there was no gang banging, there was no warring against one another. Well, sometimes the situation would be so sensitive, so close to the heart, that we'd have to get off with one another. And that's just the way it is, in life. We have to do what we got to do. There was times when we were stabbing each other, slicing each other with razor blades, going in cells and having a cell fights. Uh, it is what it is. Shit happens, right? But for most part, the peace treaty stood. You know, if ever it was broken after the problem was handled, it would be made known that, okay, we could go back to the peace treaty now. And if whatever barrio didn't want to go back to the peace treaty, well, then it would stay on and cracking, right? You know, it's much different than the Sureno barrio, the Sureno gang module. Why? Because there was somebody in charge, somebody who called the shots. And the Maravilla module, nobody called the shots. Nobody. We politicked against each other, how we politicked against each other, and it was a discussion, and a decision was made, and then we followed through, and that was it. But for most part, we had peace. We had peace on the module. Uh, One thing interesting that I want to mention is that a corrido was written. It was called the Corrido de la Tira de Maravilla, and it sang about, and the lyrics were about how we ended up in that tier, why we were there, and how we were going to proceed in our walk. It was the Firme Corrido. I don't remember all the words. I can't recite them. I can't even sing it. But I remember we used to sing it with a lot of pride on that tier. And we used to pretty much just sing it to the Sureños next door, to let them know how we felt and how we were going to conduct ourselves. Um, the Sureños were right next door. Okay. So shit would happen, you know. They would come out and attack homies in the Sally port. Homies would be going to medical wherever, and I'm sure the Judas had something to do with it, because Judas pick sides. I don't care what anybody says. Judas pick sides, and sometimes there'd be homies getting moved to medical or to court or to visit, whatever the case may be, and their door would get popped open, and they get busy and they put in work. They catch the homies. They put the hurt to them. And there was other instances where Judas that were, I could say, on our side, or sympathetic to our plight, that would open up their door when homies were able to get out, and our homies would go in there and get busy, and it was war. It was wartime. Um, Shit was happening. It wasn't no peseta situation, or it was a gangster situation, and it went down. It went down ugly. And I'm sorry that it went down, and I wish it didn't, but it did, and it is what it is. Um, Getting away from that, um, for the most part, La Tira de Maravilla was about partying. You know what I'm saying? Uh, it was funny, but the homies were having a good time on that tira. And it was going in heavy. You know, and for the most part, everybody stood high. Everybody stood having a good time. Uh, I could tell you one thing: nobody drank orange juice or apple juice. There was a deficiency of vitamin C for my homies, because nobody would drink that stuff. It all got saved to make the wine. We'd buy sugar from the Asians, or man, we make wine all the time, and powerful stuff, So I'm gonna even tell you this, man. There'd be sometimes when homeboys would be getting called for release, and they would tell us, "Hey, hold up. What time you get off of work? Oh, I get off at this time. Okay, when you get off, can you walk me down? Because I'm gonna kick back, man. We got some pizza. Woo, woo, woo." We tell the Judas what we were doing. They wouldn't trip. All right, when I leave, I'm gonna come and get you. And the homie would kick back, man, and drink and sing. There was homies that had really good voices, man. They'd be singing oldies. Um, yeah, they'd have a good time. So much that they weren't in a hurry to leave. They wanted to kick it and have a good time for a little bit. Uh, yeah, plenty of wine, plenty of loquera. War with the sheriffs was unfortunate, but it happens. And I think that was my biggest memory, man, because when that happened, everybody united. They put the differences aside, and it was all about putting in the work on them. And for them to come in and chain us up, it was work for them. You know, they were catching the blues. And in the end, of course, we ended up butt naked, sitting out in the damn hallway, nuts to butts and handcuffed. But it was an easy walk for them. They didn't just come in and hook us up and take us out. We gave them problems, definitely. Anyways, there's a lot more I could tell you about the Tira de Maravilla, the Maravilla Gang Module. I could guarantee you that it wasn't a PC module. It was definitely all all the way gangster, man. That shit was full out gangster. And most people that made it there from getting into pedo from the time that they walked into the jail, and basically got caught up in fights and stuff until Operation Safe Jail, OSJ, which is similar to Operation Safe Streets, which is another uh, organization that deals with gangs, would get involved. So when OSJ would see two gang members fighting, they're from different gangs. They do an investigation. They check tattoos. They try to find out where these people were from, and if they were found to be from Maravilla, they'd be placed in the Maravilla Gang Module. Um, it wasn't like you walk in there and say, "Hey, man, I can't be here. I can't program with these people." Uh, you didn't have to sign, your rights and your you didn't PC up. You know what I'm saying? Most of the time it was because you got in some pedo with a Sureno, and they check your tattoos and they seen you were from Arabia and they lock you up. And it got to the point that when you came into the jail and they interviewed you during classification, they knew you from Arabia, they send you there. You know what I'm saying? I have my own story on how I got there, but I'm not gonna get into it. Um, I think it's in one of my other videos. But my point is, it wasn't a PC module. It was a gang module, just like all the other gangs in the jails. And we were at war, and you know, it turned out the way it turned out, and we ended up where we ended up. No disrespect to nobody, but that's just what it is. I'm gonna end this video now. It's just something that I want to share about the Maravilla module. I wish it was still there for people who go in, because anybody who would have experienced it uh, would have known that it was female to be there. It was that gas. You were there with a bunch of homies, and it was just a big party. You know, and the little pedo in between. The little fights and stabbings or whatever, just part of the program when you're doing jail time. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, I'm gonna cut this video short. Thank you for clicking on it and for having even interest that you would click on this video. And I hope I see you in other videos. I have some good stories to tell. I hope you enjoy them. And everything I say is going to be truth. It's going to be experience. It's going to be from my own eyes. So this being said, you guys take care. Take care of your family. Take care of your freedom. Those are all the things that are important. Everything else is bullshit.